Things just got worse and worse and worse as the night went on. Again, valiant effort down the stretch for the Bucks. Just too little, too late. Let's go down and let's see what Coach Fletch and the rest of the crew has to say. And as always, go Bulls. So let's head into the locker room right now and see what the guys have to say about that one. Wow. Where do the Buccaneers go from here? What an incredible atmosphere. What a good win for the Tampa Bay Lightning. They snapped a 7-game winning streak. How we feeling, Bucs Nation? It's time to party, baby. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Recher podcast. Happy November 10th, 2025. Whether you're here in the Tampa Bay area or abroad, man, I hope everybody's doing well. It's a little chilly out there. I can see the wind through the window. It's going to be a chilly next couple of days here in Tampa Bay. Nobody outside of the Tampa Bay area feels bad whatsoever. We're just going to have to deal with it. Plenty to get into today. It is not, unfortunately, a Victory Monday. Our Victory Mondays are, listen, they're decided by the Buccaneers, man. I gotta be honest with you, man. That's just the way it goes. Listen, there's other victory days, maybe in the middle of the week, maybe when it's outside of football season, but it is most certainly not a Victory Monday after the Buccaneers lose on Sunday. Exactly what we saw yesterday at Raymond James Stadium against the New England Patriots. I was not there. I could have been there because we took a couple of L's in the morning out in Auburndale, but I was watching the game with our guy Ian Beckles. He joins us at 12:30 today. We will break it all down. Of course, I want to hear from you. Questions, comments, concerns. Let's get into it. Put them there at the bottom of the screen. Again, make sure you follow me on all social media platforms at Recher. Like and subscribe as well. Whew, man, that was not pretty. Not pretty at all. What is pretty is our fantastic partners, Honest Hammer Custom Builders, LLC, and EverHealth as well. Yeah, there's so many things to talk about today. We're obviously talking about the Buccaneers. We're going to talk about the USF Bulls getting back into the top 25 and what that could mean. All the other games in the NFL and college football, the Lightning stay hot. Coops catch today with Charles Barkley. That's pretty cool. We'll get into that. And then also everything that happened off the gridiron. Man City smacking Liverpool. Sorry, Dave Terry. The pitch rigging thing with Emmanuel Clase. It's pretty nuts. Pretty freaking crazy. But we'll get into that. But of course, again, I want to hear from you guys because of what happened with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers yesterday against the New England Patriots. There's no shortage of things to talk about. But first, let's shout you guys out. DT, my Bolts are keeping me happy. You see, I'm rocking the black on black. These are my favorite third jerseys. Number 10, got the Recher on the back. Appreciate you. Benny. And also Janet Best, one of our first ladies here on the Recher podcast, the Wrecking Crew. Gator football program is garbage thanks to AD Stinkler. Bucks not good enough this season. F every season ticket holder that sells to a-hole fans of the opposing team. And my Fins, you're having a rough weekend, pal. Rough weekend. Bucks not good enough. Too many injuries. Depth average. I get you like Bulls, Jay, but facts are facts. 1-3 after a bye. Only win against the 3-14 Giants team. 1-3 in the playoffs, only win against suicidal Eagles team. Is he the coach to get us to a title? I mean, today, I think it may be a little bit too much to put this on Todd Bowles, but he's got to share this. He's got to share this. I'm with you, buddy. Because when you look at what happened yesterday, this falls on everybody. This falls on everybody with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This falls on Baker. This falls on Grizzard. This falls on Todd Bowles. Offensive line, defensive line. There is no shortage of blame to go around. And for me, like when I'm watching these games, and again, when I'm giving my opinion, when I'm giving my 2 cents on all this stuff, I'm really not looking at what anybody else is saying. Everything comes from my brain, what I believe, right? And even though I watch a lot of these games with Ian and Tony Mayberry and guys that played in the NFL, like we can also have different opinions. I always defer to them when it comes to, the in the locker room stuff and the experience of playing. But as far as guys playing well or not playing well, and there's things that we're going to disagree on and those things that we agree on. And there's also different things that you see, right? There's different things that you watch. Those guys are always going to watch the offensive line because that's what they were kind of brought up to do. So I've watched the offensive line a lot more now being with those guys, but also just kind of looking at everything yesterday. I want to start with what Baker Mayfield had to say on the after the game yesterday. He was not happy at all. What are you watching, Benny? Benny, you're watching on the right. Benny's like, what the heck? You got to watch the other one, buddy. Let me see. Tune in, YouTube. Yeah, there's actually the way that StreamYard's doing it now. You can watch it either on landscape or you can watch it on landscape, or what's the other one? Landscape or portrait. So I think you've got it on portrait. You got to switch it to landscape. It's kind of a weird thing there. Rolly in the house. Rough Sunday. Besides the Bucks loss last, one leg. Those parlays are killers. Absolute killers. I want to talk about what Baker Mayfield had to say yesterday in the postgame. And this is, I think, very revealing. I'm trying to pull it up because I know our friends at Pewter Report have it. But man, they put out so much content in the last 24 hours. Holy smokerooskies. Come on. All right, here we go. Baker Mayfield talks about the pride. Right here. I want you to listen to this real quick. This is what really stood out to me yesterday. This is Baker Mayfield after the game talking about pride. This is not something that you necessarily want to hear from your quarterback, especially a guy that's played as well as Baker has this year. But listen to what Baker Mayfield had to say. This is after the loss yesterday against the Patriots. What stands out to you about this?
Little things right, critical moments. We did not do that today. That's what I told the team, told the offense after the game. And at some point, when the stuff comes up during the week, and whether it's mistakes or things we talk about, and then it shows up on Sundays, you have to have some pride about you. You got to have the fear of that failure and messing up for your teammates when we talk about something. You got to have that responsibility and accountability for the guys around you. Get it fixed. In tight ball games like this, when you play a good team like the Patriots, little things will get you beat, and that was the case for us on offense today. Case in point, it starts with me. Some throws there that we like to have back, some more completions. The low ball that I gave Cade towards the end there, if I would have stuck it on his chest, he probably got a first down instead of having to get into a short yardage situation. So it starts with me, but everybody's got to have pride about it too.
For him to say that they're not taking pride during the week is not a good thing to hear from Baker Mayfield. Who is he talking about? Mistakes being made. And listen, you look at the guys that were playing yesterday, and you look at who just do process of elimination. Can you really put this on a guy like Rachaad White? I thought he was busting his ass. There was a couple of plays. You guys watch this. There was a couple of plays where Rachaad could have been stopped for a 2, 3, 4-yard loss, and some way found his way back to the line of scrimmage and got a couple of yards, right? It's not Sean Tucker. He had more yards per carry than Rachaad did. Not on those running backs, so we can take them out, right? Is it on a guy like Cade Otton? I'm not looking at Cade Otton at all. Cade Otton has done whatever this team has asked him to do. He's helped block. He had a couple of really nice catches yesterday. Can anybody really raise their hand? You could say that, we wish you had a Mark Andrews. You wish you had this guy. Like, Cade Otton is not the problem with this team. Not at all. When you look at Tez Johnson, I don't know if you're necessarily talking about him. Are you talking about Emeka Egbuka? I don't think so. So when you start limiting it down to people, to me, he's talking about the offensive line first and foremost. And again, when I watch this game with Tony Mayberry, when I watch this game with Ian Beckles, 2 offensive linemen, pare it down even more. Is he talking about Dan Feeney? Is he talking about the backups that had to come in for Ben Bredesen? No. Is he talking about Luke Gedeke? A guy it's his first game back in how long? No. He's talking about 2 guys on the offensive line. He's talking about Tristan Wirfs, and he's talking about Graham Barton. And I think he's also talking about Sterling Shepard too. Because Sterling Shepard's idiotic offensive pass interference call yesterday on Cade Otton, where he blew that guy up. Everybody was like, wow, Cade Otton was so wide open. I still think, even if that guy was covering him, you probably could have completed that pass for Cade Otton. Is he going to have as much room to grow, to run as he did? Well, he had that room because Sterling Shepard blew that guy up. Not smart from a veteran player. And everybody's like, oh, okay. It's not about having a discussion of whether it was the right call, whether it was the wrong call. We're not talking about that. It was offensive pass interference. I don't care what anybody says. Crazy. Now, again, you're asking about the live stream. Look at it. If you're watching it from the vertical view, you can watch it on the, you just click on the other stream. So look on YouTube again, look on Recher. There's two options now. If you're watching on YouTube, you can watch it either vertically or horizontal. So if you want, just back out on the YouTube channel, go back and click on the other video there. It gives you two different options. Here, let me show you guys real quick. If you're having some issues watching it live. There you go. So there's two different kinds. There's the horizontal. Here, I'm gonna share my screen with you guys just so you can see it. There's two different here. You can click on the left, which is more the vertical look. Or if you go back, the second one, and this is if you're on live on my page, that's on the horizontal look. Hold on. I got to make sure you guys see it. Okay. So if you go back, look, guys, here. That's the regular channel, okay? Here, let me take that off for you. There's two different, yeah, this is two different lives on there. 1, 2. So you can watch the vertical here, or you can watch the horizontal here. So there's two options. Something that StreamYard's doing, I think it's more confusing than anything else. They're trying to give more people an option to be able to watch these things, but I just think it makes it more confusing more than anything else. So, when you go back, I look at Tristan Wirfs, and he's not playing at the level of Tristan Wirfs. I look at Graham Barton. He has not really taken that step forward as a center on this team. And the blocking has just not been good enough. And you go back to the New Orleans game. Remember, winning quiets a lot of the doubts. And you weren't able to punch it in at the 1-yard line against the New Orleans Saints. You eventually, pulled away because you have a more talented team. But yesterday, you lose the battle in the trenches. And we'll get to the defense here momentarily. But I'm talking about the offense first because I feel like that stood out. It stood out in a big way yesterday. Because Baker Mayfield's not usually that guy to call out his team. And he said, it starts with him. And I look at Josh Grizzard too. Not thrilled with what I've seen from Josh Grizzard. That 2-point conversion play, the Philly, whatever the hell that was, not smart. You're running on a third down. You're running a screen to Sterling Shepard on the outside. Also not smart. I mean, there have been times this year where the lack of experience from Josh Grizzard has reared its head in certain games. And when the margins are so fine against a well-coached team like the New England Patriots, it's going to bite you in the ass. And that's what we saw on Sunday at Raymond James Stadium. And again, we'll get to the defense in a second. Those guys have to step up on the offensive line. I know Bredesen went down, but when you look at this whole situation, this team should be farther away. I mean, they should be farther along, rather, when it comes to the offense. And people say, oh, the injuries this, the injuries that. The Buccaneers had a bunch of injuries last year, too. You lost Godwin and Evans in the middle of the season. You still put up a bunch of points. You still averaged 30 points a game with injuries to those guys. Liam Cohen did a great job. Josh Grizzard, not as much. Does it mean he's not going to grow? No, I'm not necessarily saying that. But yes, you do have to get guys back. But there's still enough talent on this team to be able to win that game yesterday offensively. You have Emeka Ibuka, who's been fantastic. You have Tez Johnson, who has a knack for making big plays. Cade Otton played well. Rashad played well. Sean Tucker played well. You have 5 guys on your offense that played well. So to sit there and act like, oh, wow, we didn't have enough pieces, that's bullshit, man. You had enough to win that game offensively yesterday. Those guys have to be better, and if they have to practice better, I mean, we don't know that. You're out there for 30 minutes, and you're seeing them stretch. You're not seeing any semblance of meaningful content that you can take back and say, well, they're practicing this or practicing that. It's way different in the NFL than any other sport. It has to be better. I didn't like that at all yesterday. Not at all. Defensively, my goodness. Now, again, we talk so much, and again, I'm on the opposite side of this, and you guys know me. I'm not one of those people that's like, fire this guy, get rid of that guy sucks. I lean towards optimism than pessimism, but I always land on realism. You know, we're talking about pressures again. Pressures are not a predictive statistic. It's not. One day, I mean, at times, can it be? Yes, but it is not a predictive statistic where it's automatically going to lead to sacks. Again, the almost shit over and over and over again. And there's always a caveat. I'm going to tell you this right now. We talk about this a lot with the Rays. We very rarely talk about it with the Lightning. Because the Lightning are a very black and white team. You're either winning or you're losing. That's it. They have championship expectations and aspirations, and I love that. I think every team that is worth a shit should have that kind of mindset. But we're like, well, almost this, and this doesn't happen every week. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You can't grade how a team's doing when you're talking about one game on a whole grand scheme of, well, next week it'll be different. It doesn't matter. They lost this game to the New England Patriots. Well, they're not going to give up 4 plays of 50-plus yards every week. Okay, you don't know that. You're not a mind reader. You know what I can tell you? It happened against New England. Why did it happen against New England? If you're so focused on everything kind of, regressing or progressing to the mean, like that's a scary thing to do when you're talking about sports. Well, it doesn't happen every week. Why can't it happen next week? It just happened this week. And you're playing Buffalo and the Rams the next 2 weeks? There's no capability for big plays? We want to go back to the NFC playoffs a couple of years ago when we lost to the Rams on the big bomb, the Cooper Cup. You're telling me, okay, it doesn't have to be 4. What if it's 1 at the end of the game with 2 minutes left with the game on the line? That's all that counts. It's not about a quantitative thing like, oh, let's have 4 of them. What if it's only 3 next week and you lose by a touchdown, or 2 the following week and you lose by 3 points? Then what? Not good enough defensively. You got to get home. And I'm going to remind everybody, the last 2 weeks when everybody's like, Anthony Nelson should play more. This guy does not get off of the line quickly. And there is a reason why the Buccaneers went out and got Hassan Reddick. If Anthony Nelson was that good, there's no reason you spend $15 million on a pass rusher. There's no reason why you draft Chris Braswell, who was absolutely disappearing once again yesterday. Watching Anthony Nelson yesterday on a couple of those plays, the last guy to get off the ball. Not even close. Go back and watch the game. Hike, 3 guys get off the line, and then there's Anthony Nelson. A profound delay in his response getting to the quarterback. And it wasn't like, oh, he's going in and then he's dropping off into coverage. No, he was rushing the quarterback, and he was the last guy to get off the ball. This defense is just clearly not good enough. And listen, you want to put it on Todd Bowles? Fine. You want to talk about the Benjamin Morrison, Jamel Dean, back and forth? Fine, because I think he's got to wear that. But this is what they've been doing the last couple of weeks. They've been doing this the last couple of weeks. They've been getting Benjamin Morrison in there. They've been keeping Jamel Dean out for a multitude of reasons. Yeah, you want to get Morrison, but listen, let's not forget, Jamel Dean has his warts as a defender. I don't care what he's done so far this year. Jamel Dean's also very injury prone as well. You want Benjamin Morrison to be out there the entire time? That's what I don't like, where people are missing the narrative when it comes to the Jamel Dean, Benjamin Morrison thing. I can't believe they're doing this. They've been doing it the last couple of weeks. I don't know why do they do this? Jamel Dean's not a perfect defender. Even though he's had a great year this year, we know what Jamel Dean is. We know Jamel Dean, if he was that good, they wouldn't have cut his pay. he would have a contract for the next year and the next year and the next year. Also, this guy can't play 17 games a year. You're better with him in the lineup than out the lineup. So what do? How do you mitigate those risks of putting him in a position to succeed and making sure that he doesn't get hurt in week 7, 8, and 9, and you're going to miss him for the end of the season? You cut his playing time a little bit. You put Benjamin Morrison out there. Everybody loved the Benjamin Morrison idea. Nobody really made too much of a fuss of it the last couple of years. It was odd, but nobody thought against it. Why? Because Benjamin Morrison was a second-round pick. If he didn't have that hip injury, he'd be a first-round pick. Now a bitch in the ass. It's easy to sit on your couch on Monday and say, what a terrible idea. Nobody was barking up that tree the last 3 weeks. Let's not forget that. Let's not forget that. Everybody loves to be, oh, I'm the right guy after. Oh, I would have never did this after it happened. Trust me, as a coach, and I know I'm not a coach on the same level, not even close, but when you coach and you're going through every single machination of what you're trying to do to put your position and succeed, when you go back and you look back, there's always, well, what if I did this? What if I did that? It's a lot easier when you're not the guy making those calls to have a 100% record of being right. It's easy to say that. I would have never did this. I can't believe he did that. I'm blaming Bowles for this. I'm blaming Bowles for that. Easy to do that from your couch. Easy to do that when the team loses. Is it more of a coaching thing yesterday? Or is it more of an execution thing yesterday? Both of them have to be blamed. I understand that. But to me, it's way more about an execution thing than a coaching thing. You're telling me you can't stop the run? You're telling me you're giving up big plays? It's Bowles' problem they give up 4 plays of that many yards? It's Bowles' problem that Zion McCollum got caught looking in the backfield and that kid just blew right past his ass? That's Bowles' problem? Your inability to tackle Travion Henderson at the end there on a play that's to the short side of the field, that's on Todd Bowles? Come on, guys. He's not perfect. He's not perfect. But to think out of all the things yesterday, he's the guy to blame because of this? No, sir. No, sir. Antoine Winfield Jr. had a good game yesterday? Come on. Who had a good game yesterday on defense? Tell me. Who had a good game? Elijah Roberts had a good game. Vita Vea was in there. Yaya Diaby had a good game. He had a good game. Chris Braswell, Anthony Nelson, they had a good game. Who else had a good game? Servassier, Levante, Zion, those guys had a good game. Come on, man. Come on. Listen, and I find it kind of crazy too. This team is 6-3 after 9 games. But let's keep it 100. Even if they lose the next 2 games and they're 6-5, who gives a crap? Who cares? They're going to win this division. And as much as people are looking at this team and they're saying, I can't believe how bad things have gotten, right? It's a long season in the NFL. Nobody thought Miami was going to beat Buffalo yesterday. Nobody thought after Carolina went to Green Bay and beat the Packers that they were going to lose to the New Orleans Saints. That's what happened. Tyke Smith, I'll give you that. I see you, Sergio. I see you. I thought Tyke had a good game, and it was crazy too because Tyke almost got whistled for that late hit out of bounds on Drake May, and then a couple of plays later, he makes an incredible interception. It looked a lot like the one that Baker Mayfield had against the Philadelphia Eagles. Shout out to my guy Josh. He definitely put that one out there. I mean, when you're looking at this team, these next couple of weeks, if you're not in it for the number 1 seed, right? That's what you want. You want the bye, but it just doesn't look like that's going to happen. So now you obviously have to shift your focus, win the division, get as healthy as humanly possible, and then hope you're playing football at the end of the year, your best football at the end of the year. That sucks. It sucks that we're at this point, but that is where we're at. Your expectations going into the season were higher. You wanted that number 1 seed. It was well within your reach. But when you lose a game like yesterday, that's when your expectations, I think, have to pivot. Sucks to be able to it sucks to say that. But if you don't take care of business at home against a second-year quarterback and your players don't rise to the occasion and you don't practice well during the week, as Baker Mayfield has said that, It's on you. It's not on anybody else's. It's not on anybody else's problem. Wish it didn't have to be like that, but that's the nature of the beast. You're going to have to be able to go out there and you're going to have to surprise some people. If you want the narrative to change, if you're the Buccaneers, and that's the thing. We mentioned about this last week with Danny Parkins watching and talking to Nick Wright. Danny saying, I can see them going 6-2 to 6-5. And then he erroneously said 11-7. That narrative's still out there. And after you lose at home to the New England Patriots, after you've lost those 3 or 4 games in the middle of the season, it's not up to us. And Kings are a full. Like, I know what you're saying over here, buddy. This is what it is. It's not about what we want it to be. That's just what it is. We don't decide that. The Bucs decide that. The goal should be get the number 1 seed. But right now, if you're telling me that team right there that played yesterday, that is getting questioned by their quarterback, that's 6-3, that they're about to play Buffalo and the Rams, that's the team that, because the way we're perceiving it, we should think that there should be the number. Who cares about would, could, and should? It is the way it is. Only the Buccaneers can change that narrative. That's it. You lose that game yesterday, I'm sorry, you're 6-3. People are going to doubt you again. Here comes that middle of the season swoon we've seen the last couple of years. It's up to them to change our minds, not us. We're not saying we're okay with it. We're not saying that that's the way it should be. Nobody's saying that. But if you lose a game in that fashion, when you're looking at the offense, when you're looking at the defense, okay, when there's enough blame to go around, sorry, it's not about us. Not about us. And at what point do the Glazers have enough of Bulls' annual midseason lumps? I mean, listen, who cares if you go into a midseason slump if you're able to dig your way out of it and win the division and give yourself a chance? That's all people want, an opportunity to make the playoffs. And then once you get in that tournament, anything goes. How many people really went into the season last year thinking that Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders would A, make the playoffs, B, win a playoff game, C, win 2 playoff games and go to the NFC Championship game? Nobody said that. Nobody. Not one person. Not even the most staunch Washington Commanders fan would seriously, in his mind, come out and say last year that Jaden Daniels would lead Dan Quinn and the Commanders to not only a playoff berth, but a win, and then go into Detroit and beat the Lions, one of the best teams we've seen the last 3 years. Nobody thought that. So again, it's easy to sit on your couch on a Monday and say, I would have done this, or I would have done that, or they should have did this, or they should have done that. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The Buccaneers were clearly not good enough yesterday. Both sides of the ball, the coaching, there's enough blame to go around. The injuries, they're going to catch up to you at some point. But there's still enough players on that offensive line to be able to kind of hold the fort down a little. I mean, that pass rush was good, but I mean, that wasn't the 85 Bears. It wasn't the 2000 Ravens. You got Clavon Chase on, a guy that couldn't sniff stringing 3 good games together when he got drafted out of LSU with the Jaguars. Now, you look at him yesterday, it's like, holy smokes. That guy looked like a problem. Mike Vrabel and that team, they're firing on all cylinders right now. They're playing confident, big playability. They're smart. That's how you win on the road. When you look at a team like that with a second-year quarterback, with a first-year head coach, and I know he's got experience from coaching with the Titans, but if a team like that can win 5 games in a row on the road, what does that tell you? They're a smart football team. They don't turn the football over. They're heads up when it comes to special teams. They do all the little things well. They stay in the game. And ironically enough, the Buccaneers won the turnover battle yesterday with that interception. Take your hat off to New England, man. I'm telling you, that's a good football team. But the Buccaneers, they got to look at themselves in the mirror. And especially if Baker's coming out and saying that about the team, about them not taking it serious at practice, probably go a little bit deeper than the coaching. All right, let's bring him in for our weekly chat. The second overall pick in the 1990 Canadian Football League draft, the one and only Ian Beckles. What's going on, buddy? How are you?
You do your homework, you know. You do your homework. You do.
I do.
Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah. I can't. I mean, it was good stuff there, man. And there was no thoughts about when was that draft in comparison to the NFL draft? Before or after?
That was before. Before, yeah.
Did you know you were going to get drafted in the NFL draft? Like, did you have an idea?
No, I had no idea. I mean, I had some scouts. I had a scout tell me one time, they go, "What number are you?" I go, 75. They go, "Man, you can play 75. I go, "Thank you." They go, "How tall are you?" And I go, 6'3". And they go, "How tall are you, son?" And they go, 6'2". They go, "Okay, you're 6'1". And I go, "What difference does that make?" I go, "What difference does it make if I'm 6'1" or 6'5"? You know what the scout told me? First round, the fifth round. That's what he said. That's the difference.
Jeez.
With the same video, same tape, if I was 6'5", I'd probably be a first rounder. Because I was 6'1", I was going to be a fifth rounder. And that's where I went, fifth round.
Did you think that there was a possibility that you could play in the CFL instead of the NFL?
Sure. I mean, when I got drafted in the CFL, I mean, I got picked second overall. When I got to the CFL combine, I already went to the NFL combine.
Mm-hmm.
And I just told them, I said, "Guys, I'm not running again. I'm tired. I'll just take my numbers from the combine." They were like, "Fine." So then the offense and defensive linemen were doing drills. And I was sitting there watching them do one-on-one pass rush. And I hadn't done anything at that point. So I was watching, and these guys sucked. And I just, I went from a no-name to putting somebody's helmet on and being the second. If I had a video of that exhibition that I did, you'd be like, "That's the best lineman I've ever seen in my life." Because I was killing. I went on offense and defense, and I'm talking about eviscerating cats. So it was, but I never, as soon as I got drafted in the NFL, I haven't heard from the BC Lions since. Maybe they call me tomorrow. I don't know.
I was going to say, do you remember the team that drafted you, BC Lions?
Of course.
Do you remember who was drafted first?
Yes, I do. He was a running back.
Yep.
He was my roommate because he got some tail that night and he did it next to me in the bed.
Oh my God!
His name, if you Mills,
Sean
Millington.
Sean Millington.
Millington, yeah, light-skinned cat.
And there was one other NFL player that got drafted in the first round that year in the CFL. Do you remember who it was? It was a special teams guy.
Special teams guy.
Drafted by the Edmonton Eskimos with the 6th overall pick.
Was it
was a kicker.
Steve Christie.
Steve Christie got drafted out of William and Mary. Wow, that's great.
There you go.
Good stuff. Not good stuff. The Buccaneers game yesterday. Woo!
Nah. Yeah, I mean,
not good, dog.
No, I was listening to you on the way in, and I think by you saying the injuries catch up with you, we were 6-2, but that wasn't a real 6. I mean, not saying they didn't deserve it, but it was a 6-2 that you looked at. You go, "Well, we can't keep playing like that."
Got some smoke and mirrors to it.
There was a little bit of smoke and mirrors to it, okay, because we weren't consistently doing anything in that 6-2. Not really. It was kind of here, there, everywhere, doing this, rushing the passer, not rushing the passer, running the ball, not running the ball, big passing. So there's a lot of different things going on. And I think we've just hit reality because, unfortunately, some of our good players aren't playing well. I just did my podcast and in the trenches, and I didn't think that's about as bad as I've seen Tristan Wirfs play. And
last couple weeks, man.
It's been 2 weeks in a row where Tristan Wirfs has looked, average, and I've never said that before. And as a whole, the offensive line, how do you say that if they're A, B, C, or D? It's a different line every single week, but the results aren't good. The offensive line is not playing well at all.
Graham Barton, year 2. What do you think?
Well, Graham Barton, I think, and I had this discussion with Tony Maybear, and his first thing was like, "What do you expect? They put him out of tackle?" And there's something to that now. If they put me out of tackle, it's going to change my technique completely. Then you want to put me back at guard, and then I got to tighten up again. So I don't think he's taking steps forward that I want to see, because I know from my first year to my second year, I probably improved 40%. And he had a pretty good, rookie year. And I'm just not seeing the improvement yet from this young kid.
I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, you like my jersey today?
I did like that. Where'd you get that from?
Oh, man. Best Christmas gift I ever got.
Oh, I do know where you got that from.
My
That's
guy
Fido.
Ian Beckles got me this back in the day from the Ron and Ian days because they didn't get me any of those
Fido.
damn Lightning players. So Ian hooked me up. So I appreciate you, brother.
So
I got to ask you this. I don't know if we've ever talked about this before because I've been catching a little heat on social media about this because I am not a big believer in pressures. Okay. Because I feel like when people talk about pressures, they talk about it like it's a predictive stat. Like, oh, pressures are going to lead to sacks. And I think at times it can. I understand that. And I understand pressures to the point of you're going to make the guy get rid of the ball maybe a little quicker than he wants. I understand that aspect of it. But if pressures don't lead to sacks, Beck, and all you're talking about is almost, like you don't get paid on pressures. You get paid on sacks. And when I watched the game yesterday, I see Yaya Diaby, which is, to me, Mr. Almost. It's almost like 2 or 3 weeks out of the year, he gets a couple sacks, and it's like, see? And it's like, well, I'm looking at the other 14 weeks where it's, he finishes the year with 7 sacks, and he's got all these pressures. I don't give a shit how many pressures if you have. It's a problem that these guys don't get to the quarterback. So how do you kind of balance that out of, yeah, I understand pressures can be good, but if you're banking on that and you're not getting home, I think that's a problem too.
I think if you get 15 sacks, then I want to hear how many pressures too. You know what I mean? But if you're not getting sacks, then you're late. Okay, so I agree with you. I agree with you on that one. That being said, and I've said this in the past, and I never heard anybody bring it up, but there's a difference between a pressure, a quarterback hit, a quarterback pressure that leads to an interception, but they're all kind of in the same category. You see what I'm saying? Like, you could be a little bit late, the quarterback just completes the ball, or you could be bearing down in his face and make him make a bad decision and the ball goes the other way for a touchdown. So his pressures are, and I said this just a second ago when I did it on my podcast, his effort doesn't result into anything. It doesn't result anything. Okay, does he play hard? Yes. Does he get results? No. And this is a that's what football is about, results. It's like saying, oh, that guy runs great routes, but he don't catch no balls.
Right.
Well, eventually you're just going to say, well, then he's not a great receiver. Well, Yaya Diaby's not put out there to be tough, and he is tough. He's out there to sack the quarterback or make plays and tackles for losses. It's not enough for me. I like the effort, but the results ain't working.
We spoke about Anthony Nelson a couple of weeks ago and him getting a lot more snaps this week. And we watched him get off the line a little bit and it was awfully slow. And then I want to ask you about that. What do you see from Anthony Nelson and do they need a guy like Hassan Reddick back? Like, how do you address this pass rush now that the trade deadline's passed? They're not going to go out and get somebody. Bowles is just going to have to rely on doing what he does, right? And trying to get sacks from other spots.
I don't know if either one of them is a full-time player. I think both of them need each other. Because I think if you cut, their reps in half, I think they'll both be better football players. Nelson, I didn't hear his name once yesterday, really. And the game before that, I heard it all game long. So, I seen both ends of it. Sometimes it's a matchup thing, all right? Reddick played quite a few games where I didn't see him take anything over. He made a couple plays here and there, but we need as many pass rushers as we can get, okay? Because we're not putting the quarterback on the ground enough. And we've watched when deep into the playoffs, if you don't rush that quarterback, those teams will kill you. We know that for a fact. And right now, I just don't think anybody fears us up front. I mean, once again, Vita's our best pass rusher. Again, I just don't know if that's ever going to be enough.
Todd Bowles really getting a lot of heat today because of, taking Jamel Dean out and putting Benjamin Morrison out there. And the first 4 passes against Benjamin Morrison were 70-yard touchdown, completion, pass interference, completion. Why? And I brought this up before. I said the reason why they're doing it is because Jamel Dean, even though he's had a really good year, and there's a reason why they made him take a pay cut. and he's also never been healthy really for 17 games. So to think that Jamel Dean's a lockdown corner, he's going to play every single snap, I think is a little short-sighted. But when you get into a situation like you have yesterday where Benjamin Morrison's getting roasted and toasted and burnt to a crisp, I mean, they've done it the last couple of weeks back where they've kind of rotated him, but man, it blew up in Todd's face yesterday.
Well, I think it's deeper than what you just mentioned, Jay, because this is how it goes, all right? If it never happened to me, but if a team came up to me and said, I want you to take a pay cut, and I say, okay, that means I want to stay. That's cool. Or I'm not ready to leave yet. But then the next year, when it's time to re-sign, if you have a bunch of other teams wanting you, you're going to go to those other teams because you're not going to feel loved. You see what I'm saying? You think they want Jamel Dean to get 10 interceptions? Because then he's going to just go away and get, I'm being serious about this.
No, it's a business decision.
It's a business, and when you're talking about this Morrison kid, they're going after him. Okay? They don't go after Jamel Dean. So the reason why he's in there is politics, period. I had a time where Charles McCray was starting in front of me because he was a first-round pick. I was playing more of the game, and I asked my coach, I said, yo, what's going on, dude? Because I'm not really trying to be behind that cat. He looked at me and goes, it's not my choice. So, I think this may be above Todd Bowles because Morrison's the future of this team. It's not Jamel Dean because Jamel Dean's probably going to be gone. So they want Morrison to be better or they want him to get his reps. But right now, as Buccaneer fans, we know that Jamel Dean is the best choice right now. My eye says Jamel Dean's better.
Baker Mayfield comes out and said that there's issues during practice last week. Guys were making too many mistakes, and then they go out there. He did not seem happy after the game, and it wasn't the normal, all right, I didn't play well. And of course, he took ownership of it, but it was more of an anger more than a disappointment. And it seems like he's calling out some of his guys and, people that are out there and they want Todd Bowles to do that. That's not Todd Bowles' way. He's just not going to do that. And that's part of the reason why guys love him, right? Because he takes them behind doors, and that's just not the way he goes about his business. But Baker Mayfield steps to the podium yesterday, and he says that we got to be better, and guys need to have more pride. That's not necessarily something you want to hear, Beck, from your starting quarterback and challenging his players on the offense to have more pride. What do you think when you hear something like that from Bake?
I think one thing about myself, I think I'm consistent, okay? I don't like that from anybody.
Right.
I don't care who you are, okay? I really don't. I don't give a crap who you are. If you have an issue with teammates, do it in-house. Say, let's have a meeting. You, and you're not good enough. You're not going hard enough. If you're mad enough to do that, okay, good for you. I don't like anybody pointing to teammates in the press. It never helps. You know why? Because now the press wants to know who those players are. And now they're going to ask the coach, they're going to ask other players, who's he talking about? And I don't think that ever helps. And here's the thing, Jay. You think Baker's playing well?
Not great.
Okay, well, he's not playing that great. Okay?
And he said he took ownership too, but it was at the end. Like, it starts with me, and I get that.
That's fine, but what do I always say, Jay? If your film is not good on Monday, watch your mouth, okay? Because you're pointing at people, and when they watch that film and they're watching him throw some balls off here and there and not making the right choices, they're like, what were you telling everybody? Don't remember anymore because you didn't play that damn well. So if you think you're going to call somebody else out or a bunch of people out, boy, your film better be good on Monday, and I'm not sure Baker's film was that great. Listen, I like Baker Mayfield as a competitor. I don't like that.
Let me ask you a question, and this is a good question. Is this similar to what we heard from Tua a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, of course. It's very similar. What's the difference?
Nobody's going to make it. But here's the thing, Beck. No, here's the difference. Nobody else is making that comparison today but me and you. Because this doesn't sound a lot different than what we heard from Tua a couple weeks ago, saying about guys not going to meetings and blah, blah, blah. And then when Baker says, well, my teammates got to play with more pride. And then all right, so then, like you just said, I just went down the list.
Yep.
He's not talking about Cade Otton. He's not talking about Rashad White and Sean Tucker. He's not talking about Emeka Ibuka. He's not talking about Tej Johnson.
Right.
So who are you talking about? You're not talking about the backup offensive line. You're not talking about the other guy that came in for Bredesen, right? You're not talking about Luke Gedeke in his first game back.
Nope.
You're talking about Sterling Shepard, stupid offensive pass interference call. And you're talking about Tristan Wirfs and Graham Barton. Those are the only 3 guys that are left, Beck. So who are you talking about? And the crazy thing about it is Tristan's his best friend. Graham Barton's second year center, first rounder. And Sterling Shepard is only here because of Baker Mayfield. So what does that tell you? Like, that's the thing. What I get is like, you just said, like, all right, now the media is going to process of elimination. There's the process of elimination. You're talking about 2 of arguably your best friends on the team and your second round center that you probably spend more time with than anybody because he snaps you the ball. So how is that a good thing, right? We're bad-mouthing Tua for that, for saying missing meetings. It probably maybe goes a little bit farther than, because I don't know if he took any accountability, but still, like, it's, they may not be in the same house, but Beck, they're on the same block.
It's the same to me, Jay, be honest with you, because what Baker said yesterday, all right, is this. I didn't like the way everybody prepared. That's what he said.
That's what it says, yes.
Okay, so why didn't you say that before the game then? Like, the results didn't turn out well, good, okay. Now, you're all upset. That's fine, then approach them. But to put it out there in the ether like that so everybody has to talk about it, to me, is not leadership. I don't like it. I promise you somebody brings it up. I wouldn't be shocked if it's not Todd Bowles. Like, that's not helping. That's not helping anybody. It's not helping anybody. On a skid like this, that's not going to bring the locker room together. I don't see it.
Now you have a couple of games against Buffalo and the Rams. 2 teams where it's like, oof, this thing can go from 6-2 to 6-5 real fast, Beck.
Real fast.
Can it? Well, but here's the thing, and I want to see if you agree with me for this. They've got experience of losing games in a row at this point of the year. They've done it the last 2 years. And the division, whether people want to say it or not, the division's terrible, man. So, I mean, if you're 6-5, right, and you're still in first place by 2 games in the division, ideal? No. But in the grand scheme of everything, is it the sky is falling? I don't know if it is. Like, I feel like they've given themselves a cushion. If they didn't establish an identity, if they didn't play all that great the first 8 games, fine. But at least what they did do was put wins in their pocket to give them some breathing room to play like shit in the middle of the season. How could that be? Am I wrong in thinking that, or is there a way to kind of be nervous how this thing is going to end? Because 6-2 to 6-5, nobody wants to go on a 3-game losing streak.
I think you would be okay. I'd be okay if you thought that way if you were the Carolina Panthers, not the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Because at the beginning of this year, people were picking them to win the Super Bowl. They start off 6-2. So if they go 6-5, and to me, when I'm hearing other people go, well, the Falcons lost, and well, the Saints, I don't give a rat's ass. If we sneak into the playoffs again, what do you think we're gonna do? If we, you know what I'm saying? If we lose the next 2 games and we kind of limp in the playoffs, it's gonna be the same Buccaneers. I don't want that personally. By the end of this season, if we make the playoffs, I want to have some confidence because we're supposed to be getting better, okay? And when I'm defending Todd Bowles, which I've done many times, I'm saying that, look, we're not getting worse. We kind of stayed par for the course, but I could see us getting better. And at the beginning of this season, roster-wise, I think we have one of the better rosters, but it's been, eviscerated. And if we get to a point where we lose 2 more games in a row, you can lose a lot of games in a row, Jay, okay? Because you can flip a coin every week, and they might come up tails every freaking time. Because at the end of this season, everybody's penciling in wins against Atlanta and penciling in wins against Carolina. Carolina don't give a crap. And Carolina's not scared of the Buccaneers. So you better figure out a way to win one of these next 2 games some way or another.
But that's my point, is that you lose these 2 games, you're 6-5. And then you go 5-1 down the stretch, right? You go 5-1 down the stretch.
We're the same as last year.
That's what I'm saying. But then you go 11-6. You're a game better than you were last year. Right. And then it's just like, well, you took another step forward, didn't you? So if you go 5-1, you go 11-6, and then you get into the playoffs, and then you win a game, you lose a game. Like, it's where are we at with this team? Right. Like, where's the bar? Like, I feel like the Lightning, we know where the bar is. The Rays, I think we kind of have an idea of where the bar is, but the Bucks are in a weird spot, man. Because, like, Beck, if they go 5-1 down the stretch after losing these 2 games, if they do, and they're 11-6, let's say they win that first round and then they lose in the divisional round, is this season a success? Is this season a step forward? Well, they won one more regular season game. They won a playoff game after not winning one last year. I won't feel like that though. I mean, I don't know if I'll feel like that if they go 11-6 and bow out in the divisional round. What say you?
Well, that's a great hypothetical. I'm going to say this, Jay. If they lose the next 2 games, they won't go 5-1 in the last 6 games. They're not good enough then. They're not good enough. If you lose 4 games in a row, and I mean, we haven't played well offensively in 3. If we don't play offensively the next 2, that's 5 games in a row we don't play well offensively. We can't think we're going to beat anybody after that, okay? So if they lose 2 in a row, they're going to be looking around, looking for somebody. I think people are looking around for people to make plays. Who are they looking for? I mean, with Tez Johnson is a great 4, but he's a 2. Abuka is a 1. He should be a 3. I mean, he's good enough to be a 1, but we never expect him to be that. And Kate Otten's as a number 1 target, and Kate fights, but you're talking about Abuka and Kate Otten is our explosive offense. It's not good. It's not good enough. It's not good enough to take us too far. That's for sure.
They lost 4 in a row last year, and then they went 6-1 down the stretch. So that's the reason why I bring it up. You know, they would lose at the most 3 in a row, right? You would hope this year, and then they would go 5-1 down the stretch. You would hope, but it's tough to think that they're going to answer the bell for the 3rd year in a row. But that's what the top, like, part of us thinks, like, I understand what you're saying. We can only judge it based on what we've seen recently, right? Right. I'm watching it; doesn't look too impressive. But if there's one thing about Todd Bowles, whether people like him or they don't like him, I mean, he's not going to panic, man. He's not going to freak out. He's not going to get to a point where he's going to lose any kind of faith in what he does and with this team. And, how much onus, how much blame do you put on him for what happened yesterday?
I mean, I hate to tell one week a coach is good and the next week a coach is bad. That happens as coordinators. It happens with head coaches. I just think Todd Bowles is a good X's and O's guy. Okay. Yesterday, his team got outplayed. Period. I mean, I hate to talk about effort levels. A couple plays, I didn't like the effort level. Okay. I didn't think Vita Vea had great effort level on that one big run up the middle. Okay. If you want to be great, effort level has to be part of it. You can call all the defensive plays you want, and they could be the perfect calls. But if somebody's out of place, then, it's not about the coaching all the time. So I hate to blame coaches for players messing up. But the coaches are supposed to put the right players in place. And this Buccaneer team, if you once again go back to the beginning of the season, if you play that team should be good. Right. This team shouldn't be good. It really shouldn't. And they're playing that way. They're lucky they started the season 6-2. We'd be talking about next season already.
All right, so we'll flip the script a little bit here. How nervous were you that Indiana's perfect season was going to go up in smoke before they're able to find a way to come back and win that game?
Well, I watched the back end of the game. I watched the whole game. And
he's always watching the back end, folks.
I don't know if I've ever watched a college game that nervous. Never.
I love that.
I mean, my knees were going, and I was
knee knocking.
I wanted to drive more than that drive there. And there was 2 catches on that drive that were absolutely ridiculous. And I was after the one catch with the white cat number 80, in the boundary. I go, they're going to win this game. And Mendoza, it just made sense that he did it at that time. And Cignetti is just, I don't think he's ever said anything that I don't love. He just doesn't care. I love that. I love that guy.
You heard what he said when they asked him, like, your teams haven't won there? He was like, this team hasn't.
This team has never played here. That's a real thing, though.
It is. Oh,
yeah.
God. You ready for some breaking news? Did you see the breaking news?
No, what happened?
The prayers have been answered.
JTS came back.
JTS is getting cut and re-signed by the Buccaneers. For the 3rd straight year, the Giants are 2-8. Yeah. And now they have fired Brian Daboll. He is out as the head coach of the New York Giants.
Are you crying?
Sayonara, buddy. Deuces. Now, if the Dolphins can fire McDaniel and then hire him as the OC, we'll be okay. But, I mean, losing teams just find a way to lose. I was going to text Momola yesterday because he's a big Bears fan. The Giants are winning that game the entire time until the end. Do you know that the Giants are the first team in NFL history to have 4 10-plus point leads on the road and lose every single game.
Oh, Jesus.
That's a
Really?
crazy stat.
That's crazy.
What does that tell you? Like, you find a way to lose 10. It's not like you were leading. You were leading by 10-plus points 4 times on the road, and you lost every single one of them. Woo!
Yikes. I don't even know what the problem is. Like, what is the problem? If you're good enough to go up 10, then you should be good enough to win, shouldn't you?
Yeah, just making every wrong decision. I mean, you're running Jackson Dart all the entire time. Like, he's getting hurt at the end of games too. That's what people are getting. He doesn't get hurt in the beginning of the games. He gets hurt at the end of the game. So it's like, you got to know, man, to take care of. He's a freaking rookie. You got to help him out a little bit, man. To think that he's just, because the one game against Denver that they lost, he didn't scramble at all. He didn't scramble at all because they were like, don't do anything. I was like, you got to do something. You got to do a little bit, but
I think he's a young Baker, though. I don't think you could tell him anything.
No,
you can't
I know,
tell
but
Baker anything.
You saw him. He was super. In that, people, I watched that whole Denver game, which just still took years off my life. But there was a couple times wide open he couldn't have ran. He didn't ran because they probably told him, don't run. You're like, you can't take that out of his game.
No.
You can't, but you got to manage it a little bit. That's why I thought all things we talk about with Russell Wilson, that was one thing that he's always done really well. He was able to run, get out of bounds, hold the ball out and get a first down. Now he goes in there and he's absolutely terrible. Unbelievable.
Yes,
your Aaron Rodgers led Steelers lost last night.
Yeah, I'm not, that's my guy. He'll always be my guy.
I don't know what is it with the NFL this year? Like, how does this, how do you explain what happened yesterday? Miami destroys Buffalo. They didn't beat them. They destroyed them. The Panthers, a week after going to Lambeau and beating the Packers, who had one loss going into that game, they come home and they lose to the 1-win Saints. And then the Jets win again. Like, this year in the NFL is as crazy as I've ever seen. Week to week, it is just a completely different ballgame.
It seems that way. The ball's not round. That's what they say. It bounces funny. Every week you go out there, brother. Like, I don't think I was ever favored to win a game. I think we won a few, but anytime we beat anybody, it was probably it was like a big upset. So they happen every single week. They do. It's like that. It seems like the major ones happen this week, but there's been about 3 or 4 weeks this season where you're like, Jesus, like it was hard to just pick the winners and losers.
Yeah.
I think one week on my calendar, so I had 5 winners. 5. I mean, it's hard. If you tried to get them wrong, we'll get 11 right. But you know how that goes. It's not that easy even to pick the winner.
All right, before I let you go, I ask you this one question. Today is Coop's Catch. John Cooper out there raising money for pediatric cancer, and Charles Barkley is out there with Captain Mike Anderson and John Cooper, which is pretty cool to see. If you could take one person, they got to be alive, from the 4 major sports to go fishing with, who would it be? Basketball, baseball, football, and hockey. They have to still be alive. Who would you go fishing with?
Jesus criminy. I did see Charles Barkley out there, and I was a huge Charles Barkley fan.
So he would be the basketball one?
No, not necessarily. On basketball, I like Shaq. I think Shaq. I could talk business with Shaq.
Need a bigger boat.
A much bigger boat. In baseball, does Ichiro speak good English?
He can speak it. He'll be hanging out with you. That's a good one. I like
I'll hang
that.
out with Ichiro. And in hockey, I'll go with Coach Cooper.
Oh, okay. I like it. And football?
Some good stories. And football, we go with. They have to be alive?
No, they have to be alive. Yeah, just alive.
I'm going to go with Barry Sanders.
Nice.
Yeah, we'll go with Barry Sanders. You know what I mean? Or Calvin Johnson. Me and him could talk cannabis.
I love it. 4817 Southwest Shore Boulevard. What they got going on right now, buddy, at the Dignitary Cafe, as we got the beat going in the background.
Is that your music going?
Yeah.
I like the vibe, dog. I like the vibe, though. We actually had an open mic after the game, which was cool. We had a bunch of people here rapping.
Nice.
Having a good time, but we just keep it loose, bro. The best kava and kratom in town. We got coffee, soft drinks, the whole 9 yards, and 420 friendly in the back, so you can unwind here. You know what I'm saying?
How did that guy do yesterday that was hanging out with us at the game, the Josh
Good.
Allen?
Actually, he was rapping last night. He was pretty damn good. I was impressed.
Nice. Good stuff, man. All right, make sure you check out the In the Trenches podcast. Ian is streaming live playing NCAA as well. What is it, every day at 4, you said?
Around 4:30, yeah.
Ian Beckles show on YouTube. Go check him out there. He joins us every Monday at 12:30 here on the Jay Recher podcast. Beckles and Recher podcast every Wednesday right around 3:15.
Yeah.
The second overall pick in the 1990 CFL draft, Ian H. Beckles, the 21st century philosopher. Beck, appreciate you, my brother. I'll see you on Wednesday.
All right, kid.
Yeah, the beat is fire today. Beautiful stuff. Ian Beckles crushing it as always. Love the background. There you go. You heard it right from Beck. So beautiful things right there. 4817 Southwest Shore Boulevard. Go check out the Dignitary Cafe. They always got some good things going on. Let's tell you about our friends over at Z. Honest Hammer. Our guy Russ. I saw you, Russ. Rush chimed in a little bit before when Ian hopped on with us. Of course, we have to check them out as always. You're right. Always a great time with IB. No problem at all. You guys should definitely come over and watch the game with us. If you guys ever want to watch a Buccaneer game with us at the Dignitary Cafe Sundays, usually I only go during away games, but since I had baseball, I wasn't able to get on over there to Raymond James Stadium. So I just, right from the field in Auburndale, I just drove over to Ian's, and that's where I was at. So if you guys ever want to watch the game, hit us up, let us know, and you're more than welcome to come check us out. Check out The Honest Hammer. 813-244-0956, thehonesthammer.com. My guy Russ and the crew, they don't mess around. Look at the job here. A plot of land, looking for a new custom home, they can help you out. Interior renovations, kitchen renovations, bathroom renovations, they do it all. Honest Hammer General Contractor Company, CGC 153116, thehonesthammer@gmail.com. Again, 813-244-0956. And listen, they help you out because you are a Team Tampa Bay member, just like Russ, USF grad. He's happy to see Byron Brown and USF back in the top 25, just like the rest of us. But you want to make sure if you're dealing with somebody that is working on your home that you trust them, you care about them. That's what Russ and his crew is. That's what they are. That's how they treat people. And I wouldn't have them here affiliated with the podcast if he wasn't that type of upstanding individual. Love them. Again, tell them that you're right here. Get a discount because you said you heard it right here on the Jay Recher podcast. Evra Health, our other partnership. You look at evrahealth.org, 17 different locations. 17 different locations in Pinellas County. And when you look at Evra Health Institute, look at this stuff, what they have going on. And I love this, right? When you look at the student courses, the programs, medical assistant, behavioral health tech, dental assistant, radiology, pharmacy tech. The great thing about the Evra Health Institute is, and I went over to the High Point location right there off of Omerton, you can learn hands-on training, just like I did when I went to broadcasting school. And you're able to take that and learn from the Evra Health Institute and then take it over to one of their locations, one of the 17 in Pinellas County, or you could take that and work at some other place. But you're looking at healthcare and in this country and the way that Evra Health does it. I think this is the future of what healthcare should be. You're talking about a place that even if you don't have insurance, you can go in there. They have a sliding scale to help you with your copay. They take any type of insurance. It's so clean in there. Everybody gets along so well. I'm just so grateful to be involved with Evra Health. And you look at it and you listen to our discussion that we have every single week with Dr. Rodriguez with the Evra Health Injury Report. That's the kind of people you want to associate yourself with. Awesome people all the way around. Again, everhealth.org. Tell them that you heard it right here on the Jay Recher podcast. Okay. Let's get into, and again, Brian Dable out. Mike Kafka will be the interim head coach. And there you go. Done. Giants interim head coach will be the 6th head coach in 2016. It just did not work. It did not work. Let me see. So, as you guys know, growing up, being a Giants fan, I still watch the majority of all their games. And when you watch this team, just like with any team, they find a way to lose. They find a way to lose. And I was just talking about this with Ian watching that game against Denver a couple weeks ago where Jackson Dart was just absolutely petrified to use his legs. You can't do that. And you could just tell the way that Brian Daboll went about his business when it came to Jackson Dart. He hung all of his hopes on extending his time as the head coach with the New York Football Giants on Jackson Dart and his potential and his ability. But it's more than just a relationship with the quarterback. You saw the breakdown with the relationship with him and Wink Martindale, the defensive coordinator last year. It's more than just Daboll. I mean, what Joe Shane has done as well. I mean, there has been some good things, but the complete fumbling of the Daniel Jones situation and the Saquon Barkley situation, I mean, those are two things that he's going to have to live with. And you need to have depth. I mean, you look at that game a couple of weeks ago against Denver when you lose Paulson Debo and Javon Holland in the same game, and then your team just went to absolute shit. I mean, what Deonte Banks does, he's just terrible. Terrible. And you traded up to get that guy. You're not putting a guy like Dexter Lawrence, who many people thought was one of the best defensive linemen, interior defensive linemen in the league. I mean, he's a guy now that's being scapegoated. Carl Banks is calling him out. You have a defensive line where you have Kayvon Thibodeau, a former first-round pick. You have Brian Burns, who you traded with Carolina to get, and you draft Abdul Carter this year. And your pass rush really isn't, blowing the doors off. There's good players on this team. I'm telling you, there are teams out there when you look at on paper, if you put the Patriots roster on paper and the Giants roster on paper, dude, I would take the Giants. I would take the Giants going into the season. When you look at, and that's if Jackson Dart was playing, when you look at Malik Neighbors, you look at Scatabo, when you look at the offensive linemen that they invested in, Adebo and Holland and Newbin and Okereke and those guys on the defensive line. And again, I mentioned Neighbors. Like, it's crazy, man. Good coaching goes a long way. Somebody was telling me yesterday, I'm not worried about the Patriots because of, all the injuries. Bro, injuries, yeah, I get it, but good coaching makes up for a lot. It really does. And that's why when everybody wants to get on top Bulls, part of the reason why there has been a little bit of smoke and mirrors to win that game, coaching. Putting those guys in a position to succeed. So Brian Daboll out. Goodbye. The Giants need to shake it up, and they need to find a head coach. I don't know if it's a guy that offensive mindset, defensive mindset. You need a leader. You need to put these people in a position to succeed. But for too many times, you take a guy that was coaching in a place with an outstanding player, and a lot of people say, well, that was the guy. He worked with a Josh Allen, or remember what Adam Gase, he worked with a Peyton Manning. Sometimes the players make the coaches look good. And when you go from a coordinator to a head coach, man, it is tough to move that seat from one to the next. There's so many different things that you have to deal with. And Brian Daboll was just completely overwhelmed. Bro, teams win games by accident. The worst thing that happened for the Giants was that they had that good year with Daniel Jones. And they go to the playoffs, and they beat the Vikings on the road. And then they end up losing to the Eagles, and then that was it, man. That was the high watermark for Daniel Jones in his time and Brian Daboll in his time. But it was just a funky thing altogether. Mercifully, tenure over with the New York Football Giants. They fall to 2-8. They were winning again the majority of this game. They're up 17-7. They're up 20-10. They give up 2 touchdowns in the fourth. That's it. They lose 24-20 in the Bears. I am not impressed whatsoever when it comes to the Patriots winning that game against the Giants. It is what it is. Also not impressed with the Falcons once again losing. Jonathan Taylor, an absolute beast. Offensive player of the year. I think he's going to get MVP votes. 240-plus yards on the ground, 3 touchdowns on the season. You look at what his totals are already. Number 1 in carries with a $189. 1,139 yards rushing. 15 touchdowns on the ground. And they've only played 10 games. I mean, he might win MVP this year. I don't know how you don't give it to Jonathan Taylor. He's got 15 touchdowns. If he finishes the year with, let's say, 22 or 23 touchdowns, and he finishes with 1,800 yards, I mean, it's hard not to put him in there, buddy. It's hard. This kid is an unbelievable. Shout out to the Colts. They're going about it the right way. I don't know how many years left he has in the tank being able to run that many times, but hell, man, if you got it, go after it. Biggest loser of the weekend has to be the Bills. They fall to 6-3 after getting smoked. Bro, they were down 16-0 at the half. They're down 16-0 after 3 quarters. Buffalo blew their wad in that game against the Kansas City Chiefs, and that's why the NFL's so funky, man. Listen, the Bills could end up in the AFC Championship game. We'll look back like, what the hell happened? What the hell happened in Week 10 against the Dolphins? It's crazy. Ravens win 27-19. Now they're 4-5. Told you guys before the weekend. 2-5. They'll be 7-5 before you know it, and then nobody wants to play Baltimore again. The Jets win their second in a row, or not in a row, but they win to go to 2-7 with a 27-20 victory. How about Aaron Glenn? They did win 2 in a row. Sorry. They own the state of Ohio. I guess that's what it is. Maybe if they could play all their games there, they'll be in good shape. The Panthers, again, mentioned this with Ian. One step forward, 2 steps back. Beat Green Bay, lose at home to New Orleans, who was 1-8 going into the game. Tyler Shuck looked good. I know Louis Riddick is taking like a victory dance now, or victory lap. He's a good player, I guess, but it's just one game. I think that Tyler Shuck is the answer. I mean, we just got to kind of pump the brakes there. I like when Davis Mills can come in and keep the Texans on the right track. They beat the Jaguars 36-29. An incredible come-from-behind victory. You're down 29-10 going into the fourth. You put up 26 points behind Nico Collins over $130. Willie Marks on the ground. I mean, Texans, they're finding a way without C.J. Stroud. Seahawks blow out the Cardinals. They double them up 44-22. Some people were surprised. Rams 42, Niners 26. You look at the job that Sean McVay and Matt Stafford, those guys are just freaking incredible. Chargers 25, Steelers 10, 4 teams on the bye week this week, so not much of a surprise there. Bulls said today, and we'll talk about that in a second here, the update from Todd Bowles. I want to look at the college football scores too from over the weekend and the rankings in the top 25. What did I say on Friday? About the loser of the BYU Texas Tech game? Does anybody remember? I told you guys that the loser of that game, the 7-8 matchup, was going to fall behind Texas and Oklahoma in the rankings. There's no freaking way that either one of those teams was going to lose that game. Even if it was BYU, who was 8-0 going into it, there was no way that they were going to be ranked above Texas and Oklahoma, and that is exactly what happened. We know this. So there you go. Number 7 against number 8. We're watching this game, and listen, it was ugly. BYU played terrible, and you got to give Texas Tech credit. Defense looked fantastic. The numbers that BYU put out offensively worse than the last 2 years. But again, BYU is 8-0 in that game, 8-0 going into that game, 5-0 in the Big 12. They lose that game 29-7 on the road. And then what happens when the AP Top 25 comes out? They're behind Texas and Oklahoma. Ohio State and Indiana, Texas A&M, 1, 2, 3. Alabama and Georgia, 4 and 5. No surprise there. Ole Miss slides up 1. Oregon drops 1 because they barely beat Iowa. Texas Tech goes up only 1 after the win. Notre Dame bumps up 1, and then Texas up 3. Oklahoma stays the same. And I pretty sure that's exactly what I said. I know I said that they would be behind Texas, Oklahoma, but I felt like they would be behind Texas and Oklahoma and then right above Vanderbilt. SEC, man, they're trying to get as many teams as possible in contention for that college football playoff. There's no way they're giving BYU a chance over Texas and Oklahoma. Not happening. Not happening at all. Indiana, I mean, Omar Cooper's grab, that was a close one. Ian was sweating bullets there. Alabama with a win over LSU. A&M beats Missouri. Georgia over Mississippi State. Ole Miss 49-0 over Citadel. Oregon, that was a close one. And I love that they won ugly. What you're going to have to do, man, you're going to have to make sure that if you're going to go play the Hawkeyes there at Iowa, you're going to have to win an ugly game, and that's exactly what they did. Navy throttled by Notre Dame 49-10, and now that matchup coming up Saturday afternoon in Annapolis. Navy 7-2 against your USF Bulls. USF now ranked in the top 25. They're sitting at 25. A lot of people are happy. I am too. And I want to warn you guys, and I just want to tell you, on Tuesday night, when they release the rankings for the college football playoff, USF will not be ranked. Maybe they won't be ranked in the top 25 or what have you, but they're going to be on that bracket. Memphis was on that bracket. They are not going to be on that bracket after picking up a loss. So get excited. Don't get excited. Whatever. That's why I told you last week. It doesn't matter if they're on the bracket or not, but they will be on there. They will be on there. They'll be the representative from the American, and people are going to rejoice, but it doesn't matter because they're going to have to go out and win these last 4 games. Last 3 in the regular season, and then the American Conference Championship game, where if they take care of business in the regular season, that game will be at Raymond James Stadium. Now, Horvath was injured last week against Notre Dame. Will he be back against the Bulls? I think he will be. They knew they probably had little chance against Notre Dame and how important this one was. But I love that this is a season of prove-it games for USF. And in a weird way, losing that game on the road to Memphis, at Memphis, that could help the message from Coach Golish to his team going into this game against the Midshipmen. This is one of the biggest games in USF football history. I mean, think about it. To get to the conference championship game, to be able to host it. I mean, man, my money on USF at home. Like, you win the game this week, you got to feel confident as hell that they can win the conference championship game if they host it. That game's going to be freaking crazy. And again, I've been saying this last couple of weeks because I'm trying to throw that in the atmosphere. I'm trying to speak it into existence. But can you imagine if USF makes the college football playoff this year? Oh my God, dude. Unfreaking believable. But you got to take care of business. And Coach Gold said this after the game last week. Your discipline is going to be tested. Your resolve is going to be tested. Your resilience is going to be tested. You're going up against grown men. You're going up against guys that have made a commitment to this country. And football is not who they are. It's what they do. I want to talk about perspective. These young men at the Naval Academy, they have it in spades. And I know this going to the Army-Navy game the last couple of years and just watching and being around these young men and women who have all made that ultimate sacrifice to represent our country in the armed forces. So you know what you're going to get on Sunday. And if you're a USF fan, this is all you can ask for. Playing meaningful games in November. And if you can do that and you can take care of business this week, man, this city is going to be rocking. Rocking, baby. I hope that we get an opportunity to be able to see that. Oh, wait, hold on. I want to make sure that we mention this. What happened Friday night? I'm just going to make sure. BS. Thursday. Hold on. I want to go back. There's one game that I didn't mention. Oh, who is it? Hold on. Are my glasses? I don't have my glasses. Maybe right on. Oh, yeah. For Friday night, there was 3 games. Memphis lost to Tulane. USC, they beat Northwestern. What's that other one? What's that other game? Oh, there you go. Houston, 30. That school down I-4, 27. the Space Coast game, the space game, blah, 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 blah. Never lost one of those. We score 30 in each one. No, sir. Goodbye. So I'm glad you're in the Big 12. Glad, super glad. Super glad. You're just the doormat of the Big 12. Yeah, that's great. Wonderful. And again, it's sad when you look at these two games too. Miami, 18th in the country. They beat Syracuse 38-10. But shout out to my Noles and Gators fans out there. Tough year, buddy. Tough year. Clemson 24, Noles 10, Kentucky 38, Gators 7. Oh, God. That sucks, man. It just sucks to be able to watch that. And again, Mike Norvell said titles and blah, 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 this and that, bro. You don't talk about that kind of stuff, buddy. Do not talk about that stuff at all. All right. So real quick, this is what Todd Bowles has been talking about earlier today. He spoke. No real injury news from Todd Bowles earlier today. No expectation of Godwin, Irving, or Reddick returning to practice this week right now. Unsure of the severity on Ben Bredeson's hamstring injury. Not a good sign. Not a good sign for the Buccaneers. And listen, they're not going to rush them back. They're not going to rush those guys back. Again, I know it's a crappy thing to think about and it's a crappy thing to talk about, but like I just don't think that the Buccaneers are going to freak out if they're 6-5. 3 in a row. They've lost 4 in a row the last 2 years. So what is 3 in a row? They're going to put themselves in a position to still be in first in the NFC South. I know it sucks, but that's the reality of the situation. Shout out to Jarvis Lee as well. My guy, Jarvis Lee. American Athletic Conference Defensive Player of the Week. 6 tackles, 3 for loss, 2 sacks, 1 forced fumble, and 1 quarterback hurry, leading to a pick 6 versus UTSA. A beast. A beast. Love that guy. Love that guy. Again, Todd Bowles saying hopefully they can get Bucky, Chris, and Hassan back soon, but there's no timetable for their returns. And the fact that they weren't put on IR, and we're going to talk about this on Thursday. When we sit down with Dr. Rodriguez on Thursday, we are going to discuss why they weren't put on IR. Because when you know that these guys are going to be out for 4 weeks, just put them on IR. What's the difference? Get another body in there. But the fact that they weren't and they put Gedeke on, why? Was there some unsurety? Has something changed in this situation? Not many people are bringing that up. Why not put the guys on IR if they're going to be out for more than 4 weeks? There's already a proof of concept that they would with Luke Gedeke. But the fact that these guys are still out and they probably won't play in Buffalo, what does that mean for their injuries? We'll ask Dr. Carlos Rodriguez. Again, he joins us Thursday at 12:30 back on his normal time. We'll see how he had a good time on vacation. Lightning keep on trucking, but could the injury bug be getting to them? And today they had Coops Catch out there with Charles Barkley and Captain Mike Anderson. Really fun time to raise money for pediatric cancer. The game on Saturday night against the Washington Capitals, you're up 2-1 after 1, tied the game in the second, did the Washington Capitals, and then you score a big goal in the third period. Brandon Hagel, 6th goal in his last 7 games. Hagel has been amazing. The way that this guy has started off the season when he had it was like 3 points in his first 11 or 12 games. And you're like, what's going on with Hagel? And now he's got 7 goals. You're like, man, okay, all right. He's not doing so bad. You think he's okay. He's in good shape. This team has turned it around. And I think a lot of it has to do with some of the younger guys pushing the guys at the top. Man, Hagel, 14 points now in 15 games this season. He's a +5. He's got 10 penalty minutes. He's got 2 game-winning goals. I love what I've seen from Charles-Edouard Dastou, from Dominic James. And listen, you see Jack Finley get involved the other night when Hagel got hit. Hagel gets pummeled into the net by Tom Wilson, right into the goalie. And then here comes Jack Finley, just absolutely like body splashing Tom Wilson. You love that from the big man. So you look at where this team is now, start of the season, you're starting to like, all right, what's up with these guys? And now you're sitting at 4th place in the Atlantic Division. You've got 2 games in hand of the Bruins, who are only 2 points ahead of you. A game in hand over Ottawa, you're a point behind them, and you're all square with the Canadians. And man, they've had a really good start to the season. But the Bolts at 7-3 in their last 10, probably one of the hotter teams in the National Hockey League. I think they might be. Anaheim's 9-1 in their last 10. I think their one loss came to the Bolts, if I'm not mistaken. And then the Lightning play the Rangers tomorrow or Wednesday night at Benchmark International Arena. Appreciate everybody that tuned in to Sticks and Stools on Saturday. But the one thing coming out of that game that worried me was that Ryan McDonough was hurt and did not return. Now, we know that Nick Paul is getting closer and closer to a return. We also know that Anthony Cirelli wasn't in the lineup on Saturday. And now you look at no Ryan McDonough. I think they'll be okay Wednesday night against the Rangers, but that is not a triumvirate of players that you want to be without for very long. Because what those guys bring on the defensive side of the ice is something that really can't be replicated, especially McDonough. I mean, you look at what Mac has been able to do since returning from Nashville. It's set this team in a way where it's like, why did we ever get rid of that guy in the first place? He's been phenomenal, but he gets banged up. I mean, last year, him playing all 82 games was something that I don't even think Mac would have, just because of the way he plays. He's a physical game. He's going to block shots. Like, he's a guy that's going to miss time from here and there because he plays a hard-nosed game. So hopefully it's not too long. You know, Max Crozier is another guy, too. You think about it. Mac, Crozier, Cirelli, Nick Paul. You want to be able to get some of those guys back, build some momentum here. But McDonough is the one guy that kind of sets everybody in its place. And, you know, it does prolong the stay of a guy like Darren Radish. We were wondering, all right, with Crozier coming back and with everybody else seemingly healthy and Radish being the scratch, what does this mean about the long-term future of Darren Radish with the Bolts? I don't know. We mentioned last week with Eric Erlinson on Wednesday and Encina on Thursday that we needed to see more from Gage Gonsalves and Oliver Bjorkstrand. And I think these last 2 games we've seen a much better play from 93 and 22. They need to play better, especially Gage, because, you know, with Nick Paul coming back, hopefully Cirelli will come back. I mean, it's a numbers game, especially if you're going 11-7. Like, he's not going to see the ice. Could get scratched, could get sent down. So for the Lightning, I love the way that they've been playing. And even Andrei Vasilevsky, when you're watching this kid play, some people were worried, like, what do you see from Vasi? Bro, Vasi has been really good. And with this team, it's always going to be how well they play defensively in front of him, just like any goalie in the National Hockey League. But Vasi on point, even the 2 goals that he gave up, like deflections and weird play. Oh, the one shot against Carlson that kind of trickled through, he's going to want that one back. But Chernak goes to clear it. He knocks it into his own net. Like, that's just not going to happen. Those are the kind of goals that are going to go in every once in a while. You can live with that. But you watch the frustration from Ovechkin and some of these other guys when they're shooting the puck on net and they think they have a shot. And it's like, Vasilevsky's reading this so easily. There was a couple of shots that Ovi had where a lot of other guys, they may not, like, kind of lean over to the blocker side, and Vazzy's kind of like cutting them off at the pass. It's just the frustration on Ovi's face. I didn't tell anybody this, only Ian yesterday. So after the game on Saturday night, we saw Alexander Ovechkin taking a picture with, I think it was Nikita Kucherov's wife and her mom, or Kuch's mom, which was really, really cool after the game. And all these other guys, they wear like suits and all these different things when they go to the arena. And Ovi's wearing like a wrinkled t-shirt and some jeans. Like, and he doesn't, he's not too svelte. Like, Ovi's just, he's Ovi, man. It's just incredible to look at that guy and he walks by and he's, 900 goals, one of the greatest goal scorer that the game has ever seen. And it's funny to say that when you hang out with a guy like Phil Esposito during every intermission. And Phil's like, I was out eating breakfast a couple of days ago and somebody came up to me and said, "You're the Audubell guy." And he goes, "Yeah, I score all these goals. I found the Lightning and people know me as the Audubell guy." And I go, "Yeah, man, you finally made an impact on this world. Forget about the 717 goals and the Stanley Cups and founding an NHL franchise. You're known for the hearing aids. Good job, Mr. Audubell guy. And he's like, you son of a it just feels the best, man. And he always shares his chocolate chip cookies with me during the intermission. So I love you, buddy. We got to get him on the show soon. He always tells me, like, oh yeah, but I got to get Phil on. I'm gonna ask him on Wednesday when he wants to come on. Because he's, Phil, he's gonna be like, this freaking technology. He's gonna get all pissed off. We got to get him on though, right? We'll get Phil on. All right, we'll wrap things up with everything else that happened this weekend. Real quick, Todd Bowles says it's the shoulder injury, not the ankle, that's currently holding Bucky Irving back. He was able to take a hit before returning. He has to be able to take a hit before returning. Too soon to know if that'll be this week or not. All right, what else was going on? We'll tell you right now. So when I'm looking at this situation with the pitch tipping, did you guys see this? We knew that there was a situation with Emmanuel Clase and Luis Ortiz for pitch rigging. Now they have been officially charged with fraud, conspiracy, and bribery stemming from an alleged scheme to rig individual pitches that led to gamblers winning hundreds of thousands of dollars, according to an indictment unsealed by federal prosecutors on Sunday. Ortiz arrested Sunday morning in Boston, going to appear in court Monday. Clase not in custody. Prosecutors at the Eastern District of New York, the Brooklyn-based United States Attorney's Office that levied similar charges against NBA player Terry Rozier and multiple coaches in late October, said in the indictment that Clase arranged with a bettor as early as May 2023 to throw specific pitches for balls so the gambler could place prop bets and profit. Ortiz, prosecutor said, joined the scheme 2 years later, June in 2025, and between the two gamblers won at least $450,000 wagering on their pitches, while Clase and Ortiz were given kickbacks for their participation. They could each face up to 20 years in prison for wire fraud conspiracy, 20 years for honest services, wire fraud conspiracy, 20 years for money laundering conspiracy, and 5 years for conspiracy to influence sporting events by bribery, according to prosecutors. Wow. Unbelievable. And if you saw the video earlier today, there was a pitch that Clase threw that, who was it? Oh, it was Andy Pajes from the Dodgers, swung, and it wasn't even close to a strike. And somebody was like, oh, there's $100,000 down the drain. And if you watch some of these videos on first pitches from Ortiz, not even close to a strike. The earliest, and check this out, the earliest example, according to the indictment, came in a May 19, 2023 game between the Guardians and the Mets, in which Clase relayed information that he would throw a pitch faster than 94 miles an hour. Bettors prosecuted said won $27,000 on that pitch. Weeks later, bettors added a leg to a parlay for a pitch to be slower than 94 miles an hour and won $38,000 when Clase spiked the slider at least 5 feet in front of home plate. That is how it goes. That is what happens in baseball when you start getting this betting involved. And some people will say, and I love the kind of the back and forth of, well, this kind of stuff wouldn't happen if these professional sports leagues don't get into bed with, all these different gambling and DraftKings and FanDuel. And I still think some stuff like this would happen. But one thing we do know is that gambling and putting money on sports is not nearly as taboo now as it was, say, 10 years ago. Don't forget, I think it was Tony Romo couldn't even do like a Super Bowl seminar thing in a casino years ago because of the affiliation with gambling. Now you have the odds during the game on the bottom of the screen. So things have certainly changed, and it's become more open to talk about. So I don't know if it's a direct correlation, but it's certainly not, oh my gosh, there's not a scarlet letter associated necessarily with gambling anymore. And some people were talking about how, why would he do this? He makes millions of dollars. It's never just about the people involved. As far as the professional athletes go, it's all about how these other people are making money. And if you can make money by not doing anything or by doing something as easy as this and you don't get caught, why wouldn't you, right? If you're Clase and Ortiz. I understand it's wrong. I'm just saying from their perspective. It's not an excuse. It's a reason. If you think you can throw a meaningless pitch and somebody that you know can win $100,000 and you can just get an extra 5-10 grand or whatever, I know it's stupid, but that's what they're thinking. People will come to them. Maybe it's people that they grew up with. Maybe it's people because listen, not everybody's like, oh, he's got millions of dollars. People that you grew up with, people that you're around, they want handouts. And instead of giving them your money, if you can influence the game in any way for them to win, again, it doesn't make it right. I'm not, saying that this is a proper thing at all, but this is the way that they're thinking. Oh, I can't just give this guy $1 million. Well, if we can get in on this, and I'm going to tell you, hey, I'm going to throw this ball over 94. It's going to be a heater. Bet 20,000 on it. That's the way it's going to go. These guys are screwed. Never going to see them in the major leagues again. Not happening. Hell, they might be in prison for the rest of their lives. Also, Man City over Liverpool. Any other big soccer matchups this weekend? That was the big one, a thrashing. And I love how Virgil van Dijk wanted to call out Wayne Rooney because the team has kind of rested on their laurels. He's kind of getting mad at him, and then you go and you put up an absolute stinker and lose 3-0 on Sunday. I think there's certainly something to it. The hunger is not there. The guys that they brought in, Florian Wirtz. I mean, if Florian Wirtz played for Manchester United, everybody would say that this guy is one of the biggest busts in the transfer window of all time. He has 0 goal involvements in the Premier League. 0. No goals, no assists, no nothing. So he's lucky. And that shows you the difference in the club with Liverpool and Man United. Bologna beats Napoli 2-0. I was very surprised to see that. Rasmus Højlund not playing all that great from what I hear. That was on Sunday. Better matches on Sunday. I told you Sunday was the big day when it came to football. Saturday, Manchester United with a late equalizer from Matthias de Ligt draws with the Spurs 2-2. Sunderland and Arsenal. Brian Brobby. Go check that goal out. Brian Brobby's goal to knot it up at 2. A 2-2 draw at the Stadium of Lights was a lot of fun there as well. And Bayern Munich, they draw for the first time this year. I think there were 15 straight winners in all competitions. They draw 2-2 with Union Berlin. Yeah, and that is pretty much it. Juventus and Torino 0-0. Parma and AC Milan 0-0 as well. In the NBA, the Knicks, they continue their home cooking. They continue to win at Madison Square Garden. They can't win on the road, but they can win at home. It's kind of the opposite of the Rangers. They can only win on the road. They can't win at home. What's the deal with MSG? I tell you what, man, sports in the New York area, I don't know if I've ever seen it like this. Ever. Where just look at those teams. The Islanders with Matthew Schaefer. What a great pick he's been. The Rangers can't win at home. They're a cluster. The Giants, Brian Devil gets fired. The Jets with Aaron Glenn, they've won 2 in a row. The Yankees, what are they going to do in free agency? The Mets, yeah, you won last year free agency, but you didn't even make the playoffs this year. Who knows? The Nets are terrible. The Knicks just beat the snot out of them. Just crazy, man. Crazy, crazy, crazy. But obviously the big story today, we're talking about the Buccaneers and their loss. Todd Bowles said earlier today he doesn't think Sean Tucker is like Bucky Irving at all in style of running. They have 3 different running backs to help the team. They'll ride the hot hand in each game. I don't know what that necessarily means for a guy like Rachaad White, since they really like what Sean Tucker is doing. But I tell you what, man, they've got to figure this out. The Buccaneers. I find it in both ways, man. I see both sides where you want them to get better. And you look at them and you say, I don't want to see them go on a swoon like we've seen the last couple of years. But if it happens, they've been able to get out of it the last couple of years. Why do we think that they can't do it again this year? Because even though Carolina may be better than we think, and Miami won a game against Buffalo, like I still think it's not a murderer's row down the stretch there. The Buccaneers should be getting better when it comes to their health. At some point, you would think eventually you're going to get Bucky and Godwin back, right? And Hassan Reddick. It's just this is the up and down of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But it's just been a weird season in the NFL overall. It's a 17-game season. And that if that's one thing that's changed over the years in college football and the NFL is we used to put such an onus on a loss in the regular season, but I mean it is what it is. Remember, the Bucs were 2-0 last year, looking to go 3-0. And the worst game they played last year was in week 3 against the Denver Broncos and Bo Nix. The worst game they played all year long. After that, they won games, and then they went on their swoon, and then they came back, and then they eventually made the playoffs, and then they lost to Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders. Even if they lose the next 3 games and they're 6-5, and they go and they win and they make it to the division playoffs, they win the division, they make it to the playoffs, and then they go on a run and they make it to the NFC Championship game, nobody's going to give a shit that they lost 3 games in November. Nobody's going to care. It's a long freaking season. And I think what the Buccaneers need to do is they need to look in the mirror and figure out how they're going to play better. I thought it was very interesting what Ian had to say about Baker Mayfield. He did not like Baker Mayfield calling out his teammates. Didn't like it. What does that mean going forward? We'll see. We shall see. But Baker Mayfield coming out and saying that they need to play with more pride. They need to practice with more pride. Sounded a little bit like Tua Tagovailoa, didn't it? I don't know if many people want to hear that today. And you're not going to hear that from many other people today. But that's just the way it goes. That's the kind of stuff that you hear right here on the J Recher podcast. All right, guys, make sure you follow me on all social media platforms. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram. Like and subscribe as well. Kings Oriful. I think it's gross that Trump was at the Commanders game last night, was on the broadcast. What happened to keeping politics out of sports? Glad he got booed out of the building. Well, Trump was there. First time that the president has been at was an NFL game or sporting events. I think it was 1978. I mean, when you look at the situation there, one thing that we've learned about Donald Trump is he is not going to do what everybody else has done. He is going to march to the beat of his own drum. And to go on the broadcast last night, we've gotten to a point in this country where we can't even laud, regardless of what side, and this isn't necessarily a political thing on either side. It's just, we look at it, and I hope we can get to the point where even if people are not the same party as the president or don't necessarily like the president, I hope we can eventually get back to the point where that we respect the commander in chief. We respect the guy that runs this country so that we can look to him or her and be proud of the person that leads this country. You know, I always thought that, like, I do like when the president gets involved with sports. I do like when, Obama did the brackets and things like that. Like, I understand what you're saying, Kings. Like, it gets to the point where it becomes divisive because there's so many people out there that are anti-Trump and don't like the things, but it's kind of sad that, like, that should be a cool thing, right? We should get to the point where it's like, hey, the president is at an NFL game. Like, that's pretty cool, right? When George Bush threw out the first pitch at Yankee Stadium after 9/11, like, I really hope that in my lifetime we can get back to that, because right now, that's why people, like, I think you love sports and why people kind of turn a blind eye when it comes to politics is because sports, you could put all that stuff to the outside and it's like, all right, well, regardless of what your race, religion, political affiliation is, like, we can come together and root for the Bucks. But then when it comes to the politics side, like, it's so divisive. And there's so many other things in life that separate people. That's why I'm always going to be a sports guy, because I'm going to try to find the common threads and the common bonds that we have to bring people together, rather than to find those things that divide us. So I hear what you're saying, buddy. I just hope we get to a point where that it's different. All right. Again, make sure you follow me on all social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram. Like and subscribe on YouTube. A big thank you to Honest Hammer and Evra Health and my pal Ian Beckles, 4817 Southwest Shore Boulevard. Go check them out. Always doing great things over there at the Dignitary Cafe. Ian will be streaming live at 4 o'clock today, his college football stuff. In the Trenches podcast, go check them out. Ian Beckles Show on Facebook, on Instagram and YouTube. And of course, we have the Beckles and Recher podcast Wednesday at 3:15. All right, back at it tomorrow. Oh, hold on. Before we go, we did it with when Ian was on, but let's go. Let's finish it off with some beats. Night Driving. Like it, baby. Here we go. Beat drop. Yeah, buddy. Buccaneers communications just put out there just 2 rookies across the NFL this season with 250 plus yards and 4 plus receiving touchdowns through week 10. They both play for the Bucs. Emeka Egbuka and Tez Johnson. It's the way we roll. I appreciate you all, man. Everybody have a wonderful rest of your Monday here in the Tampa Bay area or abroad, and we'll see you tomorrow right here at noon on the J. Recher Podcast. I'm gone.